Hi everyone, welcome back to another live stream here on SmugMug Live. Very exciting show today. We are showcasing the winners of Your Best Shot 2022. Thank you all for joining us today, wherever you're joining us from. You are very welcome here on the live stream. While we're live streaming, of course, we have the chat going both on Facebook and on YouTube, so feel free to get your comments in the chat there, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on those chats and hopefully interact with you as well as interacting with my guests today. So it's very exciting to introduce my guests. I'd like to say hello to both my guests who are joining me today to talk through the winners. First of all, let me introduce Frederick Van Johnson from This Week in Photo. Hi, Frederick. How you doing?
Hey, Alastair. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on for this one.
It is always a pleasure to have you with us, and I'm really excited to have another lovely friend with me today, the wonderful David Grover from Capture One. Hi, David. How are you?
Hey Alistair, how you doing? I'm good. Thanks for having me on too.
Good. Thank you for finding the time to talk through these images. We
Always.
have, we have a wonderful selection of images to let you all see today. I'd love to say hello to everybody in the chat at the moment, but there are tons of people in the chat just saying hello and checking in from wherever they are. I see Canada, Italy, London, Ohio. There's people from all over the world in the chat, so that is wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to join this live stream. We have, as always, had an incredible response to Your Best Shot this year. And if I go over to the group on Flickr, you'll see that we had nearly 12,000 images this year within the categories, and it's nearly the end of January, and we've just squeezed in the results before the end of January because it's taken us so long to go through all these. But I know the team who judged these images had a wonderful time looking through them all. I want to reiterate that there can only be a few winners out of the 12,000 images that were submitted. But the big win is always taking part in this competition. It's such a wonderful community event to see you all sharing your images in all the different categories. And I just want to thank everybody who took the effort to submit an image this year for Your Best Shot and really celebrate what the wonderful photography that we all took this year. So thank you all for doing that. We do have 6 very lucky winners today, and we're actually also going to squeeze in a little surprise. We have 6 runner-up images today as well. So it's, 12 images we're going to go through today. So hopefully both you gentlemen are ready to talk through these. I also want to say that the judging panel isn't just made up of the 3 of us who are here today. Unfortunately, it's just the 3 of us that were able to join today, but the whole judging panel is made up of our community team. Many of you will know Letitia and Mackenzie on our community team who are really the driving force behind Your Best Shot. We have to say a huge thank you to our moderation team. In the group, we have a whole bunch of moderators in there looking at all these images as they're submitted to the group, making sure that they comply, moderating what's going on there in the group. So a huge thank you to the wonderful moderators on the group for helping us with the competition this year. Of course, we then have our internal judging panel at SmugMug and Flickr. We then have Frederick judging on behalf of This Week in Photo. David helped us judge on behalf of Capture One, and then we also had some judging done by our friends at Peak Design, who unfortunately weren't able to join us today. So a really great bunch of judges and an incredible bunch of images. So just to let you know that. And of course, a huge shout out to our sponsors, especially Capture One. David, thank you for sponsoring the competition again. I would encourage everybody to go check out Capture One Pro. The latest version is Pro 23, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
Very appropriate name. I don't know how you do your naming structure, but it's,
I know it's a mystery. Eh?
so go check out Capture One. Incredible software for managing and editing your images. And if you want to know anything about Capture One, and I mean anything, David Grover is your man. He does a lot of live streaming every week to educate the world on everything Capture One. So, David, again, to you and the team at Capture One, thank you for sponsoring this year. Everybody who is a category winner will get a year subscription to Capture One Pro 23. So we look forward to sharing that with our category winners. And then, of course, we have our dear friends at Peak Design, who have given us a whole bunch of bags to give away. So each category winner is getting a specific bag for the category that they win. Some incredible stuff from Peak Design when you want to carry your camera either via straps or clips or indeed bags, and even mobile now as well. So check out our dear friends at Peak Design. And on top of the prizes, everybody, if they're a runner-up and if they are a winner, will also get a free year of Flickr Pro.
Nice.
So, yeah, something for everybody, including the runners-up this year. So, are we all sitting comfortably?
Oh, yes.
I am.
You
I'm
are.
ready to go.
Right. As I say, thank you to everybody who's joining us in the chat. So many comments in there. I will, as the gentlemen are talking about the images, I will post the link in the chat to the image that we're talking about. And then we'll talk each category, and we'll go through each category at a time, and we'll do the runner-up first. Then we'll do the winner of each category. So the first category we're going to talk about, gentlemen, is the people category. And this was a very well entered category. Well, most of them were, but there was an awful lot of people pictures, incredible pictures. And we'll start with the runner-up, which is this beautiful image that is called Vera, and that is by Radostina Bosiva. Absolutely beautiful image that caught all the panel's attention very, very early on as we were looking through these images. But Frederick, why don't you start with a little commentary on this image?
Thank you, Alastair. I love this shot. This I don't know. It's hard to articulate, but I think that's part of the magic of a shot like this, where there's not a single, other than the subject, there's not a single element that's drawing your attention. Like you're not looking at the lighting and, oh wow, this is great lighting. They did a great job. It's just it's a foregone conclusion. The pose is natural. The hands are natural, which I can even more appreciate now that I've been playing with all this AI stuff that cannot do hands.
Nope.
So it's nice to see nice, beautiful, real hands now. I don't know why. And it's just really well done. And one of the litmus tests for a shot like this or a portrait like this is, would this look good framed and hung on the wall? Is this an heirloom photo that future generations will say, hey, look at grandma, she was beautiful back in the, this is that shot. This is absolutely that shot that will live on for eons beyond the life of the photographer. So yeah, really, really well done.
David?
Yeah, absolutely. And whoever Vera is, that's a keepsake forever, definitely. And I noticed just reading the description, it's also shot on film.
Yep, medium format.
Contact 5, great cameras. So they've also, without obviously assuming that they haven't done tons of editing in whatever application after scanning, it's pretty bang on out of camera as well. So. Yeah. No manipulation, no, I just need to fix this or whatever. It's just a great shot from the moment the shutter button was hit. So yeah, fantastic, well done.
Yeah, I just brought up the actual Flickr account for Rodestina, and yeah, as you say, it's a medium format film on a Contact 645. Beautiful camera. I've shot with them in the past, but to have that control on film is fantastic. The image itself. The whole judging panel agreed that it was, just beautiful tones, beautifully posed, great control of the hands, which are always a very difficult subject to do. Beautifully lit, and the expression was just absolutely killer. So we loved this one. So, Radostina, congratulations. We will be getting you a Flickr Pro account for being runner-up this year in the people category. And yeah, thank you for those putting in your comments there about that image. We really appreciate that in the chat. So that moves us on to the winner of the people category. And this one was an image that, again, there's some that just jump off the screen at you and you want to investigate more and know more of that image. And the winner this year is called Mima, taken in September 22 by Esther Valley. Absolutely beautiful image. David, I'll come over to you for kicking things off.
Yeah, it's sorry, I was just loading it back up. Yeah, I'm just looking at one of the comments. So many poems here, which someone wrote, which is true. It's I like looking at photographs which you don't necessarily have to think about a lot. It's just there's a lot going on, but it's also not confusing as well. She obviously has a lot of stories to tell. She's deep in thought, and it's just a great moment that was captured and beautifully edited as well. Whether that was straight out of camera, I'm not sure, but it doesn't look over edited, And certainly when looking through a bunch of pictures like this, sometimes you just wish people hadn't gone quite so far, or just 20% backed off of it. And this is great. So yeah, well done.
Frederick.
Yeah, agreed. A couple of things struck me about this image is normally in a portrait, even a candid portrait like this, photographers will strive to use flattering lighting or soft light to minimize the imperfections or wrinkles or whatever in the skin. This photographer went the opposite direction. Looks like they wanted to emphasize the weathered skin and the environment that this person is sitting in. And I don't know, when I look at it, you don't know if she's like the drawing thing is you don't know if she's sad about something or she's happy to see her grandchildren that she hasn't seen in 3 months or whatever. You make up your own story about it, and just the individual placement of the items from the little teacup in the foreground all the way to the plaid scarf in the background. She just feels like she sat in that spot over and over again for many, many years and could tell you stories until the cows come home. It's a wonderful shot. I like it.
Yeah, in our happy place. Anybody who's watched the live stream with me before knows that I'm just a sucker for story. I love it when an image tells a compelling story, and this one is just full of that. It's full of character. It's full of emotion. But the story that you can see portrayed here is absolutely incredible. Lighting is spot on. The way she's captured all the detail and the folds and the materials. Yeah, it looks very natural lighting as well. I'm assuming there's a lovely big window off to the left of this image. Yeah, just loved it. The whole panel loved this. That everybody was intrigued by the emotion that this subject was given off. If I pull up Esther's page here, I'd love everybody to go to this image and leave some comments. There's not a lot of comments on this image, and it deserves lots of comments on this image because it really is beautiful. I've posted it in the chat there, taken on a nice digital camera as well. So yeah, beautifully captured image. Esther, congratulations. Your shot of Mima is the winner of the people category, and we will be sending you all those prizes we spoke about: a nice Peak Design bag, copy of Capture One, and a Flickr Pro account for the year. So everybody go check out our winner of the people category, which is Mima. Beautiful image. So let's see, just keeping an eye on the conversation that's happening in the chat as well. So great to see all those comments in there. Right, so next category, gentlemen. Are you ready for another category? The next category is the nature category. Always a well-entered category. There was
lots of pictures in that one.
thousands and thousands of images in the nature category. It may have been the busiest category out of all the categories that we had up. So congratulations to anybody who rose to the surface of that category. There was just some incredibly wonderful nature work, and it's painful sometimes to only have two that we can highlight today, but somebody has to win it. And it's all subjective. It's just us as a small group of people saying, that's the one we think's the best. I'm sure many people will have their own opinion on it. I see Connor McNeil in the chat saying, "Woo, nature." Yes, indeed, nature is coming, Connor. I know you're a big fan of nature. So, without further ado, our runner-up of the nature category, if I get the right button ready for this image, is an image called Serenity by Frank Van Dongen. Beautiful, beautiful image. So, Frederick, I'll let you kick off things.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much to say about an image like this in just a short time. But I'll be brief. I love the strata feel of it, with our clouds and then our sort of shoreline and our water and then the foreground and then our main subject. Like you always say, Alistair, in these live streams, what's the story, right? And in your head, you can make up a story, any number of stories of why this boat is sitting right there in the middle of this beautiful area. What happened? Where is the occupant of this boat? So the story fills in. I love the processing, the sort of greenish cyan tones that we see in there that kind of cool it down a little bit. You can almost smell the fresh air and foliage and water from a shot like this. Normally, well, not normally, but a lot of times on landscapes, the professionals will argue against having your subject smack dab in the middle of this frame, arguing towards the rule of thirds or something like this. But in this case, it's perfect. It works really well. So well done. I like it.
David.
Yeah, I'm going to say almost the same thing. Like, very rarely you slap something right in the center, and there's a lot going on here. We've got the rocky outcrop to the left. There's those flowers in the bottom right. You've got the clouds. You've got there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, which you could often argue, okay, this is getting too busy and it's not going to work, but it actually does. It all falls together quite nicely. And also, this is a great advert for the camera that it was shot on, because it's a bit of an oddity camera, the RX10 Sony, which has got that whopping great 24-600 lens on it. And normally, if you were a bit sniffy about landscape photography, you'd say, you can't do decent landscapes on a single lens camera like that. But just goes to show it's not the camera, it's the photographer. So, yeah, fantastic job.
Yes. Sorry, I'm reading the chats and posting pictures in there. So sorry about that. But yeah, the rest of the panel really loved the mood for this. Looking at the actual Flickr account for Frank, you'll see that it was taken in kind of inland water somewhere in the middle of Norway. Beautiful part of the world on his Sony camera. Just beautiful feel, as you said, Frederick. Great story. The layering of the image just works really well, just to hold you in on the boat. It's nicely compressed by the low cloud, and this grass and foliage on the front, just really holding the eye to really focus you on the boat. The risk you can sometimes have with these kinds of images is you're trying to focus on the boat, but the reflection blows out in the water, and you've got this really bright section of water. But the way they've captured the reflection of the cloud is just really held in those kind of highlights in the water to really show off the boat really, really well. So yeah, great composition, great angle. Somewhere I'd like to go and be on that boat. I think it would be.
If you can get to it.
Yeah, out on the boat, little glass of champagne, and it'd be pretty cool. So, right, let's go back to. I'm going to make sure I hit the right button. The image there. I'm hoping everybody can see the links I'm posting in the chat, which is great. Moving on to now the winner of the nature category, which is it's such a hard task to be the winner in any of these categories, but especially when there's several thousand, many thousands of images in the nature category. But the winner of the nature category goes to Mickey Vmix for World of Magic. And it's a very small world, the macro world. It's always a very, very interesting genre of photography, the macro world. It opens up, just so many different scenes and real worlds. I can't think of a better way to do it. And calling this a world of magic is really something special. This image, when you look at it large, I'll post a link in a second. When you look at this full res, the detail is phenomenal, which is always hard in macro to get, good depth of field and good detail. The detail is phenomenal. The color palette of this image is just great. It's just this subtle neutral tone throughout it. I see Connor's just mentioned tones. Yeah, the tonality of this image is absolutely stunning. Finding that highlight in the background, whether it's an old leaf or something that in the background that's just creating this halo effect around the subject matter. I just thought this was absolutely phenomenal, and one of those images I wish I had the talent to be able to do in that world. So yeah, I loved it. What about yourself, David?
Yeah, great shot, and always hard to nail a decent macro because 90% of it is generally out of focus. So if you don't get what you intend to with your subject, then it can be disappointing. But that's absolutely spot on. Nice editing, nice background, fantastic lighting, and a little bit different as well. It's quite unusual. I mean, the nature category can get very busy with a lot of other situations and things, which is quite common, but this one stood out because there wasn't a great deal of it as well. So it's got some uniqueness about it too.
Yeah. Indeed. Frederick?
I think one of the things that draws me into this one is, it looks mysterious, it looks magical and otherworldly, but the fact that it is macro is almost a foregone conclusion, or even a secondary sort of element of this. It's not like, hey, look at me, I'm a macro shot, and look at how interesting things look in the macro verse. It is. Yep. It's using macro as a tool to tell this story of this, this mushroom. And the fact that the photographer, like you said, Alastair, used a compressed sort of color palette, all these muted sort of earth tones in there to bring it all together, soft focus to give it the dreamy look. It just all sort of works together and draws us right into exactly where the photographer wants us to look, and then we sort of travel out from there to try to figure out what's going on in this shot. So very, very well done.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. If we head over to Mickey's Flickr account, you can see here it's done on a very nice lens, photographed on a Zeiss sonar lens. So yeah, which really helps probably with that softness that we're seeing in the out of focus areas and stuff. It really is a beautiful combination of the Nikon and the Zeiss lens. So yeah, Mikey, congratulations. Lots of great comments in the chat for your image, Mikey. So yeah, congratulations, and your prizes will be on their way to you as well. Right, we're getting there. 2 down. Shall we move on? I'm sure everybody's eager to see all the next images. So the next category is animal. The animal category is always a fun category because it has in one genre of photography, well, one subject, one category, there's so many genres of photography actually within the animal world, from nature, wildlife, portraiture, all the things. So yeah, it's a really fun category, and we'll start with our runner-up in the animal category, and I hope the author of this image forgives me if I butcher the title and indeed their name, because it's in Swedish. But our runner-up image is called Flachapadik, and it's by Hukon Jivla. I hope I pronounced that right. Forgive me if I haven't. Did my best. And Flita Padig, I think, translates from Swedish to "get out the way," which is quite an appropriate title for this image. So, Frederick, we'll start with you.
Okay, this one, again, another stunning image. This one, starting from story, when I looked at it, I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here, right? And my brain is kind of weird in that, of course, these two snails are commenting on each other's shell designs, right? So that was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, hey, where'd you get that? So and then just from a compositional standpoint, shallow depth of field's great. The technically the shot is spot on. Focus is perfect all the way through to from the antenna to the front of the snail, and the composition from upper right all the way down to lower left. It's really good. I mean, there's not much to say about this one. It has the story. You can build the story in your head. It's technically great, and the processing is spot on. So yeah, love it.
David.
Well, I think top marks for picking an animal that doesn't move very quickly. So that solves any
Slow shutter
motion
speed.
issues. Yeah. But yeah, it's like looks like two old ladies who've just bumped into each other and having a chat. So I would have loved to have known what had happened 2 hours later. Were they still there? Did one of them turn around? Or I mean, how does a snail turn around on a small object like that? So there's
Slowly.
many questions to answer. So yeah, great job.
Yeah, I think maybe what we don't realize is this may be one of the most violent pictures in the whole thing. I think they're maybe having a battle to get past each other. Who knows? It's maybe not as cute. It's maybe not as
Slow
cute.
motion.
Yeah, it's maybe not as cute as it looks. But one thing I wanted to point out about this type of image is it looks pretty straightforward. Two snails on a piece of foliage. But I always find when you're taking this type of image, trying to control what we would call specular highlights. So highlights in the background, highlights on the shell. You can see that their bodies are very moist, so that there's lots of opportunities here for highlights to really distract you from what's going on in this image. In a lot of the kind of macro world, the background will have a hotspot on it or something which distracts you. Who Can Hear has done a great job of just having this great exposure of light. He's controlled all that really, really well. So yeah, we loved the story. We loved the whatever story that might be in your own head when you read this. But the depth of field, the detail, the control of lighting was the reason that this one became a runner-up in the nature category. And if we go over to their Flickr account, you can see it's had a lot of views. A lot of people have really enjoyed this image, and yeah, I think, forgive me if it doesn't translate exactly, but I think the title in English would be "Get Out the Way," which is a lot of fun. So that takes us to our winner in the animal category, and I have to say this image literally jumped off the page as we were all looking through the many images in the animal category. I haven't quite seen an image of this type before, which is saying something. I look at lots and lots of images. I have done for over 20 years of looking at images, and the winner of the animal category really stopped me in the tracks this year. And I'm delighted to say that the winner of the animal category is titled Northern Gannet by Marie Jose D'Amour. And this image, Marie, is absolutely incredible. Frederick, I'll let you start.
Okay. Yeah, we could just absorb this image for a minute, I think. A moment of silence. But, I mean, come on. I mean, high key, light-colored subject, symmetry. We have the eyes in there. I mean, it's just, yeah. There's not a whole lot to say. This is just one of those images you just absorb on the surface of. This is just great. It's great execution. One of the things that popped into my mind the first time I saw this was, is this real? I mean, is this taxidermy? Like what? Like how did you get this shot? This is amazing. Once in a lifetime shot for sure, maybe twice, but very, very well executed from the symmetry on down to the choice of high key, the lighting, the story of it. Like we always say, all the bits are here to make this an outstanding image. I'd love to see this gigantic printed and hanging on the wall. It would just be outstanding.
Wow, the comments are going very fast for this one. People are
Definitely,
loving this image. David, how about you?
Yeah, it's if if it's not taxidermy, and who cares if it is or isn't really, because
Yeah, right.
it's still a hard shot to pull off regardless. But in the wild, that was probably a split second that it was in that position with its head down. Marie being frontal, that as you say, it's a once in a lifetime thing to grab, and composition is spot on. Lovely editing, difficult editing because it's all high key. The greens in the foliage, I guess, for his or her nest, um, just pops out from it. It's stunning. Yeah, I'd buy that and stick that on my wall for sure. Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
fantastic.
Hmm.
It's this great combination of a nature shot and also something that's very commercial. The the composition of it is fairly non-traditional for a nature animal shot. It's bang in the
Hmm.
center, the top of the head's cut off.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
think I think that symmetry here is actually, what sets it apart is just this really stunning winning image. We are very fortunate in Scotland, where I am, have to have some of the biggest colonies of gannets in the world. And I've seen lots of images of gannets, the typical shot where they're diving into the water or they're pairing together. I've never seen a shot of a gannet building a nest done in this way. It's just so beautifully done. The detail is phenomenal. Again, if I bring up Marie Jose's Flickr account, go over there and check it out and have a look at the detail on here on the link I've posted in the chat. It's taken in Quebec in Canada, and it's
Hmm.
taken at a very long focal length. She's using a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, so it's a fairly long lens. I love there's a hint of, you can just see the hint of warmth in the back there, which I think is actually another gannet's head,
Yeah,
just
it
at
could be,
at the
couldn't it?
back there, which kind of
Hmm.
positions it in within a colony of birds. But the high key nature of this and just the detail, the very non-traditional composition, I thought was some of the key elements of this image. So Marie Jose, congratulations on winning that. Hopefully you see from the chat the amount of love there is in the chat for this image. Absolutely stunning. Please go check out the link that I've posted in the chat and leave some comments for all these winners, and we will be in touch. Yeah, that one was
That was
absolutely
great.
incredible.
Yeah.
Loved
And
that image.
good point about the non-traditional crop, right? Cropping off
Yeah.
the top of the head of the animal. We don't normally see that. Our knee-jerk reaction is to not do that. And this photographer made the choice to do that because
Yeah.
I want you to look where I want you to look. And that was, obviously intentional and very well executed.
Yeah, there's those kind of traditional things we look for in portraiture. Like, this is a portrait, irrelevant whether it's a people
Hmm.
or an animal. We want to see the top of the head. We want to see the eyes. But that just those things are not here. It's cropped off the top of the head. The eyes are not the main focus of the image, but it's deliberately then telling you the story of this is how a gannet gathers its nesting material, but just done in this really beautiful contemporary way. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, as did many people in the chat. Thank you all for posting those comments. There's too many for me to pull up. This is single images, single comments, but thank you all for doing that. Right, that moves us on to our fourth category, gentlemen, which is the urban category. Always another. They're all fun to judge, but this is another one that throws up such contrasting sort of genres of the interpretation of urban, everything from street photography to architectural photography to graphic design. All sorts of things come up here, so it's lovely to look through these images. So let's start off with the runner up of the urban category, which was an image that had us looking long and hard for a long time. And this image is called Perspective, and it's by Van Lee Paul Steffens. Frederick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, yeah, really cool shot. I love it's nearly completely monochromatic, right? Until you zoom in on that imperfection in the middle of what I call the popsicle stick in there, right? And then you realize that, oh, now I have a sense of scale in place. This is actually a drone shot, and there's a person down there giving those pylons or whatever you call those tide breaker things around the pier there, giving those a sense of scale, and you start to understand how huge and massive all of this is, all of this concrete that's making up this shot. The compositionally, love it. You know, vertical shot, straight down, very, very perpendicular to our subject. It draws you in because again, you're like, okay, this all look great, but why looks great, but why didn't they retouch that little smudge out? And you zoom in with your eye and you notice that that is actually a person down there, which then changes it into a completely different photo. So yeah, very well done. Very well done.
Thank you, Frederick. David?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say, oh, well, it's just anyone can do an overhead drone shot. It always looks interesting. It's like, no, it doesn't. It's like, we've all seen a million overhead drone shots of people taking pictures of themselves. So it takes definitely a bit more thought and a bit more skill to grab something eye-catching like this. And it really is, yeah, the sense of scale against the tide breakers or whatever they are to the pilot slash photographer. Yeah, it's a super nice commission. So composition. So well done.
Yeah, it's true. This is a kind of shot that even without the person given its scale, kind of stopped us to have a look at it, because at first you think, what is that? Is that corks? Is it, what is it? Is that a kind of macro shot? But even
is
without
it a lollipop stick?
Yeah, it's a lollipop stick. Right? What is it? Is it pickup sticks? But the even the tonal quality of it was interesting without the story. You know, the dark shadows and these beautiful tones of the concrete, and then you start to see what the real story is. And it's the photographer. I'm assuming it's the photographer that's lying there. Looks like he has his camera bag next to him, and he's got the drone hovering overhead. But yeah, I've zoomed in on it here so that you can see him lying there, just to really give it that sense of scale. And it was just something out of the ordinary. It's an ordinary part of the world. It's just a kind of big construction site on stopping the tide, deteriorating the shore or harbour or something like that. But it's the composition and certainly the unique angle of being from a drone, this top down shot, just sets it above other images within the category to make it the runner up. It's just really interesting, different, compelling image, So yeah. Funland Paul, very well done.
And kudos to the photographer for spotting this shot,
right?
Because we probably drive by or walk by shots like this in our normal daily lives all the time and don't think that, oh, this might look good for a top-down perspective shot, right? So yeah, very
yeah,
cool.
You could be walking along there and they probably look interesting, these big massive concrete structures, and you think, oh, there's maybe some geometric imagery I could take here or some kind of composition that shows the form of these things. But to then think about what does this look like from the top down, just sets it apart. So yeah, it's always nice to have a drone shot which is just a little bit different, using some of the newish photographic technologies that are available to us. So yeah, very well done. Love that one a lot. Right, let's queue up the winner of the urban category. Frederick likes this one, as do I. This one would happily hang on any wall in my house. It is a beautiful image called Swiss Brutalist Architecture by Jane Melling. And it is stunning. I absolutely adore this one. So I'm going to go first with my commentary on this one. I always love an image that stops me in my track. It's just the repetition and the form in this image and the tonality of it just stopped me in my tracks. It's brutalist architecture, which to a lot of people is just ugly concrete buildings. We have them all over the UK and across Europe, where buildings are thrown up in a hurry to for the need for housing and that type of stuff. But when you can find the beauty in this, and find the lighting, and be able to tell a story using the shapes of a structure like this, I just think it transcends photography. This is, to me, fine art, that I would happily have hanging right in front of me every day as I'm sitting at this desk. I just absolutely loved it. David?
Yeah, tricky shot to nail as well, because I saw that was shot in a Rolleiflex SL66. So also difficult. You don't have the benefit of a load of sensor flexibility for the highlights and shadows. So technically difficult to pull off and develop the film as well if Jane did it herself. But nicely composed, probably pretty tricky to get all those rings lining up nicely, and that the one that she's standing just behind. So lots of challenges to sort out this time.
And no
But
people.
yeah, and no people. God,
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder how many people wandered into the shot on with only 2 frames of film left to go, or something like that. So yeah, nicely done.
Frederick, over to you.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I would love to see a triptych of this hanging in my house. Through different perspectives from this shot. When I look at it, I think, it's the geometry, right? The first thing that pulls you in. We as humans love geometry and symmetry. This has geometry, but very little, if any, symmetry, right? So it's balanced, but why is it balanced, right? And it just sort of pulls you in that direction. It has that mystery in there. Definitely fine art, definitely art. When I look at it, we've been saying throughout this session, where's the story, or this has story. This doesn't necessarily need to have any story in it, because it's all about the graphical lines and the interplay of the shapes, and that this is a real place. It's concrete, and it's very harsh and cold, but intentionally so. But then it's geometrically pleasing in some way. Maybe it's the rounded foreground element that's playing with the background circular elements. I don't know. There's something that pulls it all together that makes me want to just stare at it, and makes me want to see more of this particular shot. I know the photographer has a couple of these in there, but it makes me want to see more of this series and kind of reveal what was this place.
Yeah,
It's the picnic area apparently. So
yeah.
looking at the other shots.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
apartment block of, I think it was about 200, no, 100 apartments, and this is a kind of communal area. What I'd love the people viewing this today to do is, when you go to the links that we're posting here, and you go to these images, please leave a great comment for the artist, but go have a look at their photo stream, because within Jane's photo stream are just some incredible shots. There are more shots of this housing complex, but there's just a whole bunch of beautiful work by Jane. So yes, congratulations, Jane. Thank you for submitting to the competition. A beautiful shot and a deserved winner. So thank you very much. Right, thank you everybody. Great comments in the chat as well. I really appreciate you all seeing the beauty in these images. Something like Jane's shot is, I think, a great summary of the kind of urban category. It's a category that can have a lot of connotations, a lot of interpretation, and this is a brutalist architecture structure, which a lot of people probably find ugly. I'm sure there's the people like, why did they build that? Why is it made out of concrete and it looks, so harsh and ugly? And, for a true artist to be able to find the beauty in that, I think, is just a fantastic way to sum up the urban category, and the variety of work that we saw in that category, just telling the story of the urban environment from all around the world. So yeah, go revisit the categories and check out all the winners. Okay, moving on, I'm just going to set up the next lot of images here. And the next category is always a great category to judge. It is the through her lens and through their lens category. A category that we loved introducing a few years ago, just to allow that community to showcase their work and be recognised for the work that they do as females and as non-binary photographers. So it's always a pleasure to judge that category. So the through her their lens category runner up is an image that just has a number as the title. So it is Sono 8356, but it was taken by Troya Yoder. So this is the runner-up that the panel thought was just this, incredible moment. Of course, the category it's almost like an open category because these images can come from any of the categories within the competition, and this is clearly a beautiful wildlife shot. So, David, I'm going to pass it over to you first.
Yeah, really difficult shot to pull off. Again, that was probably a fleeting moment. No time to really do anything except press the button. But this shot, you can zoom in quite a lot if you're looking on Flickr. And all three birds are in pretty tack sharp focus, which again was pretty hard to pull off in this split second. I like the fact that Troya hasn't felt the need to just bang up the contrast and try to, get rid of that nice low contrast look, because I imagine they were shooting through some foliage and leaves and twigs and all of that, which has kind of softened it off a bit. So the temptation would be to try to remove that or really contrast it up. But I like the fact that they've kept that atmosphere about it, and there's almost like the nest in the middle is bathed in light. So whether that was deliberate or not doesn't matter, but it looks really natural, and I love how they've pulled that off. So yeah, well done, Troy. I like it.
Frederick?
Yeah, well done. And we obviously know this is well done by looking in the chat. Michelangelo thinks it's great, so of course it has. It's got to be great. No, I looked at this image, and everything you guys said. The storiness or this sort of dreamy feel of the shot, the color palette, everything just sort of kind of works together, draws you into the middle of what's going on in this shot. But the reaction I had to this shot was more of, with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world today, life goes on. This still happens, everything, these birds have no idea what's going on. And, it just this little microcosm of life just happening is refreshing. And I loved it. Again, another shot that you could print and hang up. This looks like a page out of a storybook. You turn the page and this is page 3 in this story of these little birds' lives or something. So very, very well done. Like it.
Yeah, it's true. It's like this little micro life moment in a world of chaos, and it's just a parent feeding its kids. If we go to the Flickr account for Troya, and if I zoom in on this image, you can see that the detail is incredible.
Wow.
We spoke earlier about not the Ghana image not having eye contact and how it actually worked in this image. This is a bit more traditional where the eye contact is important. There's a beautiful highlight in the parent's eye, but you have 3 sets of eyes in focus here on this image. It's incredible little moment in a, as you said, David, probably very tricky environment to photograph. There's no EXIF data there, but looking at the compression on the depth of field, it's taken with a fairly long lens, probably from outside the shrubs that it's in. So being very careful and respectful of the wildlife is always very important. So I don't think in any way this Troya was disturbing this image. You can see actually just how comfortable the animals are. They're feeding. If they felt any way intimidated, they wouldn't be feeding. So this it's taken with a fairly long lens to get into this little world of life going on at a small scale. So yeah, lovely image, Troyer. Congratulations as the runner-up. No small feat in itself to be runner-up in this category. So thank you for sharing that image. And that brings us to the winner of the Through Her Lens, Through Their Lens category, which was actually also a contender for the People category. And the winner is called The Enchanted Scent of Lilac, and it's by Angelina Todorovic-Stanek. Apologies if I didn't get that pronunciation right, but Angelina, this is a beautiful, beautiful image. So I'll pass it over to you, Frederick.
Yeah, a lot. I see a little trend, in a lot of the images that we're seeing, that they have sort of this dreamy story time feel, right? I don't know if that's just the zeitgeist of the times or what, but it's, yeah. This is another one of those images that you could turn the page in a storybook and just see it. I love the compression of this shot. I love the processing, the low contrast, intentional low contrast. As photographers, we sort of not rail against low contrast, but we want proper contrast, whatever that is, right? Or high contrast or saturated colors or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite of that. It's black and white, low contrast, which brings us into the highest, pretty much the highest or the brightest part of the image, which is the face, which is where we want to go. So we go to the face first, and then what's this face doing? Oh, it's smelling these flowers. Oh, and then you see the surrounding elements of it. It's a wonderful portrait. Like this, I could see this. One of the first images that we looked at was the older woman and her sort of environment, the environmental portrait. I could see this as being her at a younger age, it's just sort of traveling through. So very well. Another timeless image. There's nothing in here for the most part that will tell you when this was taken. I'm pointing over here because I have it big on the screen next to me. That will tell you when it was taken, and it just sort of draws you in. Even the tasteful addition of grain into this image, right? So again, doesn't have to be tack sharp and every pixel finely tuned to be the best it can be. This artist is leaning into, less is more, as it were. So very good.
Thank you, Frederick. David?
Just because your camera can record 1 billion pixels and all the dynamic range ever doesn't mean you have to show it.
You have to use it.
Yeah, with great power comes responsibility and all of that. But
and restraint.
Yes. And I read the caption, said we use this spring to explore various flower scents, and I like pictures which have a sense of movement. Now, and I don't mean motion blur or anything like that, but I can look at this and you can feel her inhaling and she's enjoying the scent of it. I can feel there's some wind rushing past. It's got all that stuff going on in a static image, and that's pretty hard to pull off. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is a static image, but you can tell that the child has been moving, and there's been a lot of movement as she's pulled this lilac up to her face, and you can hear her inhaling this image, the scent of this image. If we go to Angelina's Flickr account, she actually says that it's her granddaughter. So what a great and stunning image to have as a family piece. To have this as a memory that will live for a very long time in this family's history. And as you say, in a world where certainly we witness many times, people taking the contrast slider to 100. This just proves that it's about storytelling. It's about composition. It's about the moment. It's not about the pixels. It's not about the perfect settings. This is perfect. It's beautifully done. It's taken on a very modern digital camera, but it has this timeless classic low contrast approach to it, which we all really loved. And Angelina, I'm sure you love this image as the grandmother of this child. I'm sure the family loves it, and I'm sure in decades to come, this little girl will look back at this image and be delighted that you captured that moment for the whole family. Really incredible image.
Print it.
Yeah,
yes,
print it. Yeah.
Print it and have the family have that print. So yeah, absolutely lovely image. wow, some great comments. Fovion, let's see if I can pull that up. My favorite picture today on Flickr. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is an incredible image. And yeah, Frederick, you're right. There is maybe this dreamy trend going on. Maybe we're just longing for a different world. Maybe we're
I think
or
so.
longing of easier times gone past or whatever. But lots of just beautiful moments and stories. So thank you for your comments there, and Angelina, congratulations the whole panel. Just really loved the fact that you had submitted those images. Right. I can see people in the comments. Hannah, yes, we have already announced the people category. That was the first one we did, so you'll have to go rewatch this episode once we finish to see that. Right, we're moving on to our final category. We're almost at the top of the hour here, so we will get through these and be done relatively soon. But this next category is always an interesting category because we give you an open category. We let everybody submit anything they want into the open category. We pick, some interesting categories each year. We try to come up with a variety of interesting and compelling categories. But just in case there isn't one for you, we give you the open category. So yeah, fantastic. Oh, sorry. Before we move on, I have to pull this comment up. Dejan Stanek, whose mother is Angelina, says, yes, Mum, congratulations.
Brilliant.
So,
Excellent.
Dejan, what I'd love to know is that your daughter or is that your niece? That would be really interesting. So, but I'm sure the whole family loves that. Loves that last photograph. Right. So the open category. Basically, any image you want that was taken in 2022, you could submit for the open category, which is great for everybody except the judges. It makes it a very, very difficult category. Oh, sorry, I'm going to get derailed. Dejan says, yeah, I am the father of Tara
Oh, nice.
and son of Angelina. So, yeah, Dejan, you're definitely a winner. You have an incredible mother as an artist, and you have a beautiful daughter, and this incredible memory that you will be able to hold on to for the rest of time. So yeah, congratulations to the whole family. Right, moving on. We will now get to the open category. So we have a runner-up in the open category. Let me just get the right image up here. And this was an interesting one. This is one that we all studied quite hard and could have easily been in some other categories and probably done quite well. But the runner-up of the open category is an image called Montana by Josh Ferrari. Frederick, I'll come to you first.
Yeah. These picture-in-a-picture photos I always like because they give you two multiple levels of mystery, right? So what's going on in this room, and then what's going on outside, and then in this one you have the other level of what's going on in that foreground, like what's going on in that house way back there, the neighboring house way over there. I love these shots intrigue me because when I look at them, I think, this was the artist thinking, and it's completely subjective, right? Was the artist thinking that I want the viewer of this photo to think that this could have been another photo on the wall that's hanging there, and I just took a picture of this photo on the wall? Or is it a photo out the window looking into the distance? We will never know. I mean, we kind of know, but it has that air of mystery in there, plus the simplicity of even little things like the little drawstring hanging from the shade on there, and the plants off to the side of the frame there, just sort of add these little compositional elements that draw you in and make you think what's happening here. I love that. I love the processing of it. It's just it's well done. Again, another one that I could see hanging up.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, I'm super invested in this shot. It's been growing on me the more and more I look at it. I mean, first of all, to Josh, he says, taken on a boys' trip for James's bachelor party. So
Yeah.
top marks for being compass mentis enough to
Right.
think about photography as well. Also taken on a Leica Q, so not DSLR with tons of different lenses, pocket camera. So just goes to show that the best camera is the one that you're carrying with you at the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in this case, like I would normally criticize something like this where the outdoor scene has been balanced so well to the indoor scene, because if we were standing in this room looking out, we'd probably be squinting and it would be super bright. But
Hmm.
I forgive him for this, because it does look like it's a scene of Montana hanging on a wall, because they've
Hmm.
kept the flowers on the dresser to the side. So it's a great contradictory picture, but it works really, really well. And yeah, great job, Josh. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, you see a nice little portable camera, not a bad portable camera to have, the
No,
Leica
by any
Q, but
stretch.
by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, it's stories within stories, right? There's
Hmm.
there's so many layers of stories. There is definitely a compromise to typically be made around composition. Sorry, the exposure. This is
Mm,
always a difficult scene to expose.
totally.
Bit easier nowadays with digital, obviously, but still a tricky situation. I love the subtle shadows from the table, the shadows of the flower on this, very plain wall just adds a really nice dimension to it. Yeah, there's something about the cord hanging down which adds to the image. The fact,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, the fact that the frame is, square. I'm sure the frame's probably not perfectly constructed square, but it's level. Which, if he's on a bachelor party, that's pretty good to have your
Yeah.
your levels be pretty level. Maybe this was right at the start of the party, Josh. You can let us know. Yeah, just that you know, those big sky parts of the world, Montana. They're just
Mm.
incredible scenes, and to see it captured with a frame within a frame. It's a bit of a cliche, but in this instance, it's really well done, and that's
Hmm.
why it was chosen as the runner up. So yeah,
and and difficult to compose as well, because you've got the compositional elements of table versus frame, but then you also want the picture in the frame to
yeah.
look good as well. So yeah, not easy to pull off either.
Cool. So yeah, thank you very much, Josh, for entering that in the open category. So that then brings us to our very last image of the day, the winner of the open category, and yeah, again another image that I haven't seen. I wouldn't see this image. I
Mm.
would see something completely different, and I certainly wouldn't take this image. So the winner of the open category is called Sundial by Boat by Richard March. And it's another aerial photography. Nice to see two aerial photography shots in the winners this year. Certainly showing a trend towards more and more of this type of image getting entered into competitions. But I loved it, a sundial by boat, just
Mm.
just beautiful. So Frederick, off you go.
Yeah, it draws you in, doesn't it? This one, again, geometric elements. I think pull this one together. We've got our circles. We've got our diagonal lines in there that pull it all together. We've got our boat at roughly what is it, 2 o'clock? I'm guessing 1 or 2 o'clock, depending on where you're standing. But the interesting thing about this, and I don't know if this was intentional, maybe it was, but the marks around the boat are almost Roman numerals,
Right?
right? They
Yeah,
give me
that was
that
exactly. Yeah,
Roman.
it's incredible,
You
right?
give me right? Yeah, I get this Roman numeral. So, obviously the photographer spotted that too, hence the name of this. But it's yeah, very very well done. And again, one of those that you just kind of look at. Of course, your eye is going to go to the brightest part of the image first, which is going to be that boat, and then you try to figure out the rest of it. And it's not until maybe a split second later that you realize that, oh, this is a top down sort of perpendicular shot to this, and what great composition. If this was intentional, right? Getting that shadow just right took some planning. I don't know if it was
Mm.
photo pills or what, but it took some planning to get that shadow to fall at the
Right.
middle of the clock. And
Hmm.
this is not an easy shot to execute, regardless of if you had a drone and all that technology. This is pure composition. So very
Yeah,
well
it
done.
took some planning.
Yeah. Yeah. Patience
Hmm.
and planning is what's shown here. Because if the sun was coming from left to right or whatever, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
half the the image that it was, it just wouldn't work. But the fact that it does look like Roman numerals, and we've got the shadow right slap bang in the center, so the sun had to be in the right position and the right height. So yeah, patience for execution, definitely. I'm intrigued to know how this happens, but I guess it's the water picking up the boat and it's just moving around.
Just as the
It's
tide's
buoyant
coming in and out,
and
it's
just
bumping
dropping
it.
into
Yeah,
different spots. Yeah, so
it's obviously
it's really
anchored in the center,
center. Yeah, yeah.
and it's just bumping round on the tides as it's going out. But what's great is that anchor rope is then hidden by the shadow as well,
Yep.
because it's all lined up nicely.
Yeah, yeah, and I'd like to think Richard spotted this one day when it had just made a couple of marks, and he thought, "I'm going to come back based on the time that Photo Pills is telling me where the sun's going to be in this position, and that it's drawn a few more Roman numerals, and then we're good to go." Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's got a lot of great elements to it. The timing, the exposure. Again, the exposure's handled really well to have this beautiful tonality on the sand, but the boat's not blown out. You have this lovely. We haven't spoken about it yet. This lovely leading line coming in from the right, which comes in nicely at the edge of frame. Takes us around this little channel, this little sandbank that's been built. Takes us right to the boat. So a lovely leading line there. And yet there's nothing else round about it. It's a nice clean scene in many ways as well. There's no other boats, there's no other buoys or anchors lying around. Just really, really interesting shot. Captured the whole panel's attention, and just something different, which is always nice to see in this day and age as well. So, Richard, congratulations. Let's just pull up his Flickr account as well. So you can see it was uploaded back in May. Beautiful, beautiful image and lots of great comments. But I would love everybody to go to these images. I've posted the links in the channel. Go there and leave lots of comments for the winners on their pages, and check out more of their imagery. So that's it, gentlemen. Our winners of Your Best Shot 2022. And before you know it, it'll be another year, and we'll be looking at more images. But first of all, before we finish up, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who entered, all 12,000 of you who entered the competition. It's not a competition without people entering it, and thank you for taking the time to look through your images, find the best of the work that you created in 2022 and posting it into the competition. Yeah, it's a shame that we can't have 12,000 winners, but I think you are all winners just by entering the competition and being part of this wonderful community. Thank you to all the judging panel, to the moderators on the group, to the internal panels at SmugMug and Flickr. A huge thank you to David. Thank you very much for taking the time, David. Appreciate it.
yeah, you're very welcome, and of course to those who didn't win, don't be disappointed. Like, it's a huge field of people. The standard was really high. Everyone should be really proud of what they achieved. So yeah, see you again next year.
Yeah, thank you to everybody at Capture One for their support. We really appreciate it. Yeah, Frederick, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for taking the time and for giving us your words of wisdom on these images.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's I could do this all day. I love looking at folks' work, and I echo what David said. It's hard to look at these images, and it's like picking your favorite child, right? Because they all have merits, and they're all great. But I'll tell you one thing: I bet there's at least one or two people that are watching or that will watch this. They're probably going to go out and buy a drone and give aerial perpendicular straight down shots a try. So
Yeah.
great crop of images this year. Thanks, Alastair.
Yeah, well, if anything, if seeing these images does inspire you to try any of this type of photography, either the winning images, the runners-up, or anything else in the category, then that's what being part of this community is for, to inspire and motivate and share the love of photography. So yeah, thank you all for your time. I'm going to ask you all to do one more thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the little bell notification. That way you'll be notified whenever we do another show. If you're watching us on Facebook, then please give us a like and a follow on Facebook. And thank you all again for being part of Your Best Shot 2022. It really is a thrill. I wish we could talk about every single image, but that would take us months just to talk about every single image. So I'm going to pass it over to you all watching to go talk about the images. Go to Flickr, go to the images, be part of the discussion on Flickr. The community is what makes Flickr so great. It's the beating heart of Flickr, is to have the ability to share our passion and to discuss it in this beautiful platform. So thank you all very much. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you again for entering the competition. Okay, that is us. Thank you so much from all of us. Enjoy the rest of the day wherever you are in the world. And always do me a favour, look after each other, be kind, and look out for each other out there. And we will see you on the next show. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. Bye.